All right, kids. Good evening. Welcome to you. It is I, your old friend, John Henry, from johnhenry.us. It's been a long time since we have seen each other, and I'm glad to be here with you. Those of you that have been follow me for a while know that I've been really kind of fallow for the last year, and haven't been doing a great deal of work. I had been and have been and still am working on a lot of process improvements and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, my hope that I could get all of that in line before it became necessary to start reacting quickly to ongoing events again. Just the time is up on that, and so I'm not going to bother making a whole lot of bells and whistles necessary. It's time to hit the ground. And so this isn't any special like John Henry show or anything like that. All that stuff is still coming. We're going to talk about that in the future. But this show is today about there is this thing going on, and I have seen it on page after page after page after page in my band of the ideological political spectrum, right on the left, and these progressive pages and so forth. And what is happening is this assertion that Facebook and other social media companies, but primarily Facebook, is forcing people to follow Donald Trump and Melania Trump and Vice President Vance, or excuse me, J.D. Vance, and the some other accounts like that. And everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people are up in arms, and there's this growing sort of noise about it, where it's turning into this urban legend that suddenly people are being forced to follow these accounts, and it's all a big conspiracy and billionaire Zuck and all that other stuff. And I want to be absolutely clear. I loathe these people, okay? In fact, despite the fact that I'm sitting on this platform, that's one of the reasons why I loathe it, because I would rather be on my own site and you be able to see it without me having to jump through a bunch of billionaires' hoops. So it's really important to say, at the outset that this isn't about me trying to defend Mark Zuckerberg or anything else. What it's about is trying to stop a distraction and use this moment to make a really important point about how we're going to have to focus and think about the things that we're doing as we go forward in this extraordinarily difficult time that we're all facing. So let me go ahead and pull this up here real quick, and I want to say too at the outset, I am in no way whatsoever trying to encourage anybody to, call anybody out or get loud with anybody or get hostile with anybody. I have deliberately removed the creator's little mark from this particular graphic, not because I don't want them to have credit, but because I don't want them to have heat. Okay, this isn't personal and it's not about them. This is just one example of some of the stuff that's going on around there, out there right now. And you can see this general narrative is that Facebook has forced people to add the accounts of Donald and Melania Trump, etc., and is forcing those on their feeds in a Big Brother New World Order sort of authoritarian gesture of forcing information at people. What is really happening is that these accounts are owned by the United States government. The accounts that people are finding themselves following are owned by the United States government. Okay, and when the holders of those accounts change, then consequently the appearance and the name that appears on the account also changes. Okay, and so you can see I've got this window set up here, and let me just go ahead. We're gonna roll that up just a little bit so we can keep the URL up at the top. And there we go. Bang, transition, bang. All right, so you can see up here. Oops, now I'm trying to click on my video. All right, so we've got this, right? Facebook. Yeah. Now this is really important, okay? After this slash, that is the official account of the President of the United States. As you can see, when you pull it up, you get, whoops, Went up in the wrong window. Hang on a minute. All right. So yeah, POTU as President of the United States, and you can see when that comes up, even though it's not fully on the screen here, you can see that that's Donald Trump. Now, prior to the inauguration, it was Joe Biden. And there are a lot of people who are following these accounts, of course, who followed Joe Biden, who followed Jill Biden, the First Lady of the United States, who would show up under this acronym, which you can see is now Melania Trump. This is normal. This is normal. The reason that you find yourself following Donald and Melania Trump or whomever is because you were not following their personal identity pages. You were not following the personal identity pages of Joe Biden, which does exist and is still out there, right? Joe Biden has a Joe Biden page. This is not the Joe Biden page. This is the President of the United States page. And the President of the United States is no longer Joe Biden, but Donald Trump. And when that change took place, the change was made on the accounts that are owned by the United States government. It works the same way on Facebook. It works the same way on Twitter. It works the same way on basically any large media company that sort of holds these identities, right? Like this POTUS account is an account that Facebook has, made space for as a courtesy to the United States government, and they maintain it, and so on and so forth, right? There is no conspiracy to shove Donald Trump down your Facebook feed without you asking for it. And I understand it, right? I get people saying that, I didn't follow Donald Trump. Why would I follow Donald Trump? And believe me, I understand, because I don't care to hear anything the guy's got to say either. Okay? I get it, and I understand the confusion, especially when you have that situation, when you've got these personal pages, but then also the official pages, right? And so what has happened is the pages that people are seeing now in their feeds are the official pages of the President of the United States, the First Lady of the United States, the Vice President. There are some others. They don't all do that, right? Your state and your federal representatives, your senators, and so on and so forth. They will be like Senator AOC or something, or a Congressman AOC or something like that. And those identities are more personalized, even though they're official. But the identity of the presidential account never changes, right? And so when those accounts change hands, they change the name that's on the account. Whoever is running the administration of it does that. And so there's no big thing with, Mark Zuckerberg is trying to force Donald Trump into your news feeds. That's not a thing that's happening. Okay, and it's really important to have this conversation, not just because my usual crusades of making sure we've got our information right and everything, but because the reality is that we are entering an absolutely unpredictable and unprecedented period of overwhelming control of a malicious actor at the head of state over the information that we have access to. And it's a terrifying moment to be in. I share your anxiety and I share your trepidation about the current situation and where we're going from here and what it all means and everything else. But that's also why it is really, really super important to avoid falling into traps like this. Because it distracts your energy and it plays into a lot of those instincts that we need to be really, really screening ourselves for internally, right? We want to have explanations. We want to feel like we're in control of things or understand things that we don't control, at least. Something has to make sense somewhere. And we have to, we want to feel like we have some kind of power. And so if we can feel like we have some insight or some knowledge that helps explain this madness, then that gives us a sense of relief and helps resolve some of that noise in our heads. I get it. I understand. Okay? I'm not trying to call anybody out or be a jerk to anybody or anything like that. There's definitely a time and a place for that, and I'm good at it. Y'all know that. Okay? But I'm saying we've got to start paying closer attention to everything, including what is going on in our own minds. That's where you got to watch, because it's so easy to fall into these traps. It's so easy to fall into these traps. And the problem is when you're looking at this and this isn't real, you're not looking at what is real. You're not looking at the very, very real mechanisms of censorship and totalitarian overlordship of human communication that are already being exercised, like the federal order for the Centers of Disease Control to immediately cease public communication. That happened already. The Justice Department is notifying state and local governments that if they don't cooperate with federal immigration enforcement, they may be criminally charged, etc. Those are things that we really, really need to be focusing on. And don't let them distract you with, oh, well, that'll never work. That's not the point. The point is that they're even trying. They're trying to normalize these conversations. They're trying to gum up the legal system and keep us confused and distracted and diffused while they, in a very well-organized and well-planned manner, come in and sweep the table. And all of a sudden we wake up and about everybody but about 4,000 people on this planet have been declared human capital stock. That is what is happening out there, and that's where we need to be focusing our energy and our time. And it's not that I'm trying to scold anybody or accuse anybody or anything like that. This isn't, this didn't come from one of these pages that just copies and pastes people's tweets into their flipping template and makes a mint off of it while the people who actually come up with the things that they're spreading around starve. Right? This is as far as I can tell anyway, I've been following this page for a long time. He's a reasonably decent person and intelligent and has a lot to say that I like to hear and all that other stuff, right? I'm not trying to call anybody out or be aggressive or angry at anybody about this, but it is absolutely critically important that we get it right and we start getting it right now. And like I said, I mean, the reason that I'm pulling out the live stream and doing this right now with all the fancy stuff is because I don't have time, we don't have time anymore to wait until I can get everything polished up and looking pretty before I start saying some of the things that need to be said, like this. If you see this conversation happening in your feed, in your places, step in and politely say, no, you have misunderstood the technology. This is a normal thing. The only thing that happened is the official counts changed hands. That is why you appear to be following Donald Trump now. Not because Mark Zuckerberg is forcing you to. Mark Zuckerberg may very well be forcing you to see a whole lot of stuff. I personally would characterize the situation that way. Absolutely. But this is not that case. Take a look at all these weirdo groups that show up in your feed that you never wanted to see, right? That's the stuff that they're pushing on you. This is not. This is a distraction, and we've got to not be distracted, okay? So, I didn't want to run super long with this tonight. It's been about 15 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you, and anonymous or semi-anonymous, not like anybody can't find out if they want to know, but shout out to the originator of this particular graphic for being a decent enough human being to understand that I'm not calling them out personally or trying to start some sort of stupid friggin' internet fight or some garbage. Okay? We are here, folks. This is not a theoretical situation anymore. We are no longer looking at what's gonna happen. It is happening. And those of us that did everything that we could in vain to stop it from happening now have to, like never before, get focused, get in fighting shape, and get ready to hit the ground running and make sure you've got your head straight and your ducks in a row, and that you are ready to check and double and triple and quadruple check yourself. Make sure, because it's so easy to get pulled in by stuff like this into doing the work of the people that we are trying to not be oppressed and owned by, if you're not careful. And this is an instance where that's what's happening. This distraction in this conversation over here about Facebook is forcing Trump. That is a distraction from the evil that is actually happening. So, I love y'all. Let's get focused. Those of you who follow my page and so forth, I appreciate you. Thanks very much. And of course, I've been talking about money lately and everything else. That is still a need. It's an ongoing need. You can see, I think there's an automatic comment that posts on these live streams about the whatever they call the little Facebook coin things. Let me bounce back over here. And let me grab my little comment pad over here. I'm going to go ahead and paste the links for contributions into a comment here. Because I'm getting like 6 to 8 hours a week right now, where I usually get 20 to 30. And it's just the time of year, but it's going to keep going on for another few weeks. And in the meantime, I've still got bills to pay, and I've still got to eat, and things are very, very tight. I reached out loud a couple of weeks ago, and did have a couple of $100 come in, and I appreciate that, and it helped, and it's why I'm here now. But it's a moving picture, and folks, I love y'all, but man, I can do so much higher quality work than this. What I need is the equipment to do it, and I need the stability, some of which I have to a degree, because my friend Anthony, who's so graciously been letting me stay with him without charging me any rent for a year, in a nice place, by the way. Okay? But I need all the help that I can get to make this happen, and that means money. And I've been out here trying to, as best I can, not be aggressive in spite of sometimes, literally life and death situations. And I'm just letting you know now that that's going to be a thing that we're going to have to talk about a lot real soon. Because to make this happen is to make this voice louder and be able to amplify it. I need to be able to get out there, and I'm not going to be able to do it just sitting here talking back and forth to y'all on my cell phone. People... Unfortunately, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's the way the world works. People want to see stuff. They want to see, professional level and quality and all that other stuff. And I don't have the gear to do that right now. And I don't have the time and the headspace, because I've got to, work another job and everything else. And worry about where money's coming from, and worry about how I'm going to keep things going. And, one tool goes down, and I don't have the other one I need, and so on and so forth. And we've got to break out of that. I've got to break out of that. And so we're definitely going to be talking about that quite a bit going forward. And I already have run my mouth an extra 4 minutes longer than I said I was going to. So thank you very much again. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Definitely share this video around. I don't know if I'm going to strip it down into like reels or whatever, anything else, but I will be uploading it on YouTube later on. Thanks. Have a great night.